Well, hello there, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're safe and well. In this video I'm going to be reviewing my entry-level PCP, the Gamo Coyote. So let's get on with it and roll the titles. If you're a regular viewer of this channel, then you'll probably recognise this rifle. This is my Gamo Coyote. It's the tactical version that's got a synthetic stock as opposed to the standard Gamo Coyote with the beach stock. But if you haven't seen this rifle before, I did a video which is number 90 on my channel where I explain why I chose this rifle as my entry-level PCP. So I'll put a link to that video on the screen so you can go and have a look, and that'll explain why I chose this as my entry-level PCP. I've owned this rifle a while now and I've been shooting it quite a lot. I actually really like it, which is why I've probably been shooting this more than any of my other rifles just at the moment. So I thought that I had enough experience of it in use that it was time that I did a more detailed review of this rifle. So that's what this video is all about. So what I'm going to do is go through the features of the rifle. There are a couple of points that I need to go in detail about, particularly the rail and the trigger. So we'll talk about those separately. And then what I did is, as I say, because I enjoy shooting the rifle, I did quite an in-depth pellet test with this just to see what pellets it likes. So you know, that's going to be the bulk of the shooting part on this video, and then we'll wrap it up by talking about my conclusions and what I think about this rifle in general. Let's begin by going through the particular features of this rifle then, and we'll start at the blunt end. We've got the butt pad. It's a rubber butt pad, it's fixed, it's not adjustable, so it doesn't go up and down or side to side or anything, which is a bit of a shame. It would have been nice if it was height adjustable. It's fairly sort of soft rubber, and it's got these removable squidgy rubber bungs in 3 different panels here, so you can take them out to make that even softer. Don't know exactly why they've done that, because you know, there's not a load of recoil on this rifle. There's barely anything that you can feel recoil wise. So I don't know why they've done that, but I guess it's a nice feature. It makes it a bit more comfortable to use, and butt does fit nicely in the shoulder. Moving on to the adjustable cheek piece. I think I'm right in saying that this Gamo Coyote Tactical and also the Veyron, which I think is the same stock, slightly different up the front end, are the only ones with an adjustable cheek piece, and that's simply adjusted by the 2 bolts here with Allen key heads in, and there's quite a range of adjustment here, so depending on your scope ring's height, it's easy enough to get your eye alignment correct on the rifle. Talking about the stock then, this is the first synthetic stocked rifle that I've bought, and actually I'm sort of pleasantly surprised with it. There is a bit of a seam that's visible, and you can feel the seam where the 2 halves have been sort of moulded together, but it actually does feel sort of quite nice and malleable and warm. Actually, it's quite sort of nice to use. This particular stock, compared to others in the Gamo range, the pistol grip is a little bit fatter and thicker, fits my hand quite nicely, and you've got these rubber insert panels for grip rather than just sort of stippling in the plastic. Actually feels quite nice. The only thing that I miss really is I tend to shoot thumbs up, and there's no real facility here for shooting thumbs up, so it does feel a little bit peculiar, and not used to shooting with my thumb around a pistol grip. But that's the only real negative that I really find on the stock. Moving up to the scope rail then, as you can see here, I've still got my Vector Veyron scope fitted on here with these BSA with Sportmatch BSA 13mm mounts. One of the limiting factors of this rifle and the others in the range is because it's made by BSA in the UK. You've got 13mm dovetail mounts, whereas on most other PCP rifles you will find they're 9 to 11mm, which means that if you've bought scope rings for your other rifles, you can't fit them on this dovetail. You have to buy these specific scope rings made for the BSA rail, the 13mm rail. Now Sportsmatch make a selection of scope rings specifically for 13mm dovetail rails, and they make the 35mm ones and also the 1-inch ones depending on your scope. So that's a little bit of a drawback. I have been told by other shooters that you can buy BKL mounts, because the way they work is they have a bolt through the bottom that spreads the bottom of the dovetail out, and you can apparently spread them out wide enough to go on a 13mm dovetail. I haven't tried that, I haven't used them, so I'll have to take their word for it on that. But as I say, on here I've had to buy the specific Sportsmatch ones, which is a bit of a limiting factor, that you've got to buy scope rings specifically for the rifle. Now it does say on the user manual that comes with the rifle that this rail is an 11mm rail, and I assure you it's not. It is definitely a 13mm rail. The rifle's loaded using the 10-shot magazine. You get one magazine that comes with it. This is a very easy to use unit. I'll show you that in more detail a little bit later. But it's exactly the same magazine that comes with in the BSA R10, so tried and tested formula. It's got a metal plate on one side and the rest is plastic, so it actually fits in with a magnet that draws it in. A nice thing about this as well is the magazine fits below the dovetail rail, so you haven't got to worry about what height of rings you use to clear the magazine like you do on some other rifles. Looking at the action then, on the left hand side of the action it specifically says it's made in the UK, and that's because this rifle is constructed in the BSA factory in Birmingham. So in that respect it is a UK made rifle and not made in Spain, where the Gamo company is based, I believe. Moving forward then to the sharp end, we've got the famous BSA cold hammer forged barrel, and with the associated accuracy. Very well known item, very reliable, so you know you're going to get good performance right from the off. On the end of the barrel we've got the thread protector, and looks like a muzzle brake. Don't think it's basically big enough to be a proper muzzle brake. But you've got a thread protector that is protecting a 1/2 inch UNF thread, so you can add an aftermarket moderator. This does make a fair old crack without a moderator, so if you're going to be shooting in your garden and you want to be neighbour friendly, then I would suggest that you need to use a moderator. Underneath the barrel we've got the air tube. This is the same length air tube on this rifle as on the Gamo GX250. As I say, that's slightly longer. I think is about 10 centimeters longer than the air tube on the GX40 and the Fox. So subsequently you're going to get more shots. On the end of the air tube you've got the little pressure gauge. Now one thing that I've found with this pressure gauge is it gives you a general indication of the air. It isn't exactly accurate. Now I've found, because when I fill up my PCPs I use a dive bottle, and I found that the gauge on that is far more accurate. When I fill this up to 200 bars on my fill bottle gauge, this gauge doesn't read 200 bars. The right hand edge of the white arrow is just about touches the 200, so this gauge sort of slightly underreads. To fill the rifle you remove the plastic cap, which is held on with a grip fit just with this rubber O-ring. and then you've got the filler port for your fill probe. One thing to notice on here, that there is a hole in the side of the gauge that can allow sort of dust and debris in, or if you're out hunting you could get a little bit of dirt and soil in, and it's supposed to be covered up by this little bit of sticky tape, which just basically, because of the grease on everything, slides off, or it did on mine the first time that you take the cover off to fill the rifle up. So yeah, not sure about that. I think I may have to get a little bit of plumber's tape or something like that to, not plumber's tape, electrician's tape, just to cover that up, just to stop anything getting in the, any debris getting in the gauge. I need to make special mention about the trigger on this rifle. If you read the owner's manual, if you look at the product brochures and you look at anything online, it will try and tell you that this comes with a CAT trigger. Now, a CAT trigger on the Gamo range has both first stage and second stage adjustment. I can tell you now, this doesn't come with a CAT trigger. It comes with the earlier version of the trigger, the SAT, which only has a second stage adjustment. And I did get in touch with both Gamo, or try and get in touch with Gamo, who never responded to my communications. Did get a response from BSA, and BSA told me that this rifle might come with an SAT trigger, and it might come with a CAT trigger. It depends what they've got in the box when they put them together, which is a funny old response really. But they said they've confirmed when I queried this, that this is the correct trigger for the rifle. So you have to ignore what's in the owner's manual, you have to ignore what's in the product brochure, you have to ignore what's on Gamo's websites. If you buy one of these, you're not going to get a CAT trigger, you're going to get an SAT trigger, which you know, I thought was a bit off really, but that you're not getting what you thought you're getting. But at the end of the day, it wasn't really a deal breaker for me. Talking about this trigger, the safety catch is contained inside it, and you push that forward for fire and back for safe. So if you accidentally, like, you know, you go inside the trigger guard and go to fire and pull the safety catch back, it's pulling it back into safety, which is probably a good way round. Some people don't like these safety catches inside the trigger guard. I don't think that it's really that an issue for me, to be honest. Just one point about the trigger then. Out of the box, I did find that this trigger was very heavy, and by very heavy I measured it at averaging about £3 12 ounces, so just under a £4 trigger, which is probably going to be on the heavy side for most people. And what I've been able to do is to do the common trigger adjustment and get that weight down to just over £1. So now it is a very light usable trigger. I'm not going to show you how to do that in this video because YouTube doesn't like that, but what I will do is I will put a link in the description and in the pinned comment to a small separate video where I'll show you the details of how to lighten the trigger if you want to do that to your Gamo. Just one final little bit to say about the stock then. Stock's attached by two Torx head bolts, one through the hole at the back in the trigger guard and one in front of the trigger guard in the stock. It's fairly flat all the way up the bottom edge of the stock, so if you wanted to put a sling stud in, or if you wanted to fit a Picatinny rail for a bipod, that would be quite easy to do. Having taken the stock off and had a look, there seems to be a place, a specific place at the fore end of the stock where you can put a sling stud in. There's got a guide inside, sort of like a bit of a plastic tube where your bolt would go. So that would be the best place to put that. I'm probably going to fit a little pick rail to the front of this so that I can use a bipod at some time in the future. But it's quite nice broad, you know, nice and broad at the fore end, and you've got, rather than stippling, again you've got these rubber inlaid pads for holding on to, so it's quite grippy. And as I say, it feels quite nice in the shoulder, quite like the stock, even if it isn't thumb up. Let's take a quick look at the magazine then. As I said, this is the same magazine that BSA provide for the R10. It's a plastic unit with a metal plate, and that's drawn into the rifle by a magnet in the stock. You can see you've got your shot counter window on the top there. Basically, filling the magazine's just a case of you don't have to pre-move anything. Put the pellet in, move it round to the next slot, put your next pellet in, then move it round to the next. So it's fairly easy to load. Then you can see there we've got 4 shots in, 4 pellets in, and it will take 10 pellets in total. So nice little well-designed, easy to use magazine. While we're talking about magazines, if you wanted a single shot loader, then there are a few different ones available. This is the one that I bought. This is again, it's got the magnet. You can see that it fits in the same as the magazine. It's the same profile as the magazine, and then basically that sticks out the left hand side and then pulls down to open. You put your pellet in. You put your pellet in and then slide it up, and then you can load and then move it down to reload. I'll put a shot of the business card for the company that makes this. Very good quality. When it first arrived, this is 3D printed, but it's such good quality printing. I thought it actually been made of milled off solid plastic, so works really well. Very good quality. So I'd recommend this one if you're looking for one. So here's a business card then for the company that made this single shot loader. I got mine on eBay. They also make magazines as well if you wanted some extra magazines, but I haven't used the mags, so I can't tell you whether they work very well or not, but based on the quality of the single shot loader, I should imagine they're probably pretty good. So that's a quick outline of the main features of this rifle then. What I'll do in the next section is I'm going to put it through the chrono and try and find out how many shots we're going to get out of a cylinder fill and what the sweet spot is. So here's my setup for measuring the sweet spot of the Gamo Coyote. You can see I've got my backstop box to shoot into. I've got the Nate chrono attached to the barrel and all set up to record the muzzle velocity. I've got the cylinder rigged up. Now the maximum pressure on the cylinder on this rifle is 232 bars, but what I'm going to do is going to take it up to 230 bars, and then what I'll do is I'll be taking shots and then reading off of the cylinder gauge. And I've got my log sheet here ready to record everything. It doesn't really matter what pellets I'm using, but I'm using 8.44 grain JSB exacts in the magazine. So what I'll be doing is basically shooting 10 shots at a time, recording the muzzle velocity and recording the pressure at 5 bar intervals, because on this gauge that's about as accurate as we're going to get. And then at the end of the process I'll plot these all into a spreadsheet and produce a graph and see if we can find out what the sweet spot is, and also we'll have an idea of what the shot count is on this rifle as well. So I'm not going to record going through the process because it's quite sort of lengthy. It's probably going to be sort of, anywhere around 70 to 100 shots. So we'll just switch to the results when I get it finished. Here we are then in an Excel spreadsheet. On the left here you can see all the imported data from the Nate chrono, the shot count, the muzzle velocity in feet per second, and the pressure in bars. And I've plotted that onto a graph here. So you can see the shot count here starting from shot 1, which was at 230 bars, and we drop down here and you can see I've got 150 shots. Now, things to notice on the graph. First off, it takes a while, you know, when you're shooting at maximum field pressure on a cylinder, you can see that the muzzle velocity takes a while to rise up and get to its sort of like constant level, which is why the advice is always not to fill your cylinder up to maximum pressure, to drop it off a little. We'll work out what pressure that is in a second. And then you can see as you get to the end, you get to a point where the pressure drops off, you get a rapid decline in the muzzle velocity and therefore in accuracy. So this is the part of the graph that we're looking at, and if I come up here, we're looking at point 30, shot 30, which is about 205 bars. So that's 205 bars is probably the maximum that you want to shoot to get a stable muzzle velocity. If you're just plinking and you want to get as many shots as possible, then by all means charge it up to 230 bars and you'll get around 145 shots, reasonable shots from the cylinder. But if you want consistent shots, then from this point here, point 28 to 30, shot 28 to 30, that's just over 205 bars. If we come up to shot 38, which I believe is around here, 37, 38, that's 200 bars. So from that point there to roughly along to here, point 109 is 140 bars. So if you want your most consistent shots, then you'd fill at 200 bars, shoot down to 140 bar and then recharge, and that will give you about 80 shots. So you'll get about 80 consistent shots, just under 80 consistent shots between that period there. Taking this part of the graph, let's work out what the spread and the standard deviation is for those roughly 80 shots during that period there. Here we are back in the spreadsheet then, and you can see I put these the little calculation in to work out the average. Now you can see in the formula bar here I've taken it from cell B33 to B111, which if you come down here is shot 30, and that's down to shot 108 to 140 bars from, as you can see here, from near enough 205 bars. Now bearing in mind this is an unregulated rifle, that's a spread of 78 shots. So 78 shots and the muzzle velocity spread is only 15 feet per second with a standard deviation of 3.5, which for an unregulated rifle over that amount of shots is pretty impressive. So we'll have to check the accuracy. As you can see, the average power across that period is 10.49 foot-pounds. But if the accuracy is okay, we're not worried about the power, so we'll have to look out on the range. But yeah, no, pretty impressive results for the Gamo Coyote, unregulated, near enough 80 shots with a spread of only 15 feet per second and a standard deviation of 3.5. That's pretty good. Time to get the rifle out on the garden range then, do some shooting with it. And what I'm going to do is, to begin with, clear out my pellet cupboard of 177 pellets and put 5 pellets of each type through the rifle to have a look and see if we can find any winners. Well, we've got quite a calm day today out in the garden, only a forecast light breeze, so perfect conditions really for doing a quick pellet test. We're out at 40 yards. I've got quite a few different tins of pellets to test. What I'm going to do is just put basically 5 rounds of each down on an individual target, just check the grouping, then we can determine how pellet fussy this rifle is. So not a strict pellet test, if you like, just going through all of the 177 pellets that I've got in my cupboard to see which ones stand out from the rest. So let's give it a go, shall we? Starting with JSB Express then, 5 shots in the magazine. See how we get on with these. Standard JSB 8.4s. JSB shorts. JSB heavies 10.34 are they? 10.34, yeah. Time for JSB derivatives now. First off is the Air Arms Express. Air Arms Diablo Fields. Rangemaster Sovereigns. Now, because previous pellets have dropped down into the Sovereign target that I'd marked up, I'm going to switch from the left-hand target to the right-hand target. Veyron FT Exacts. Now it's onto the QIS Streamline pellets. Firstly, it's the 8.48. And now the QIS Streamlined 9.56. Moving on to the rifle brand pellets then. The first of the 3 that I'm going to shoot is the Rifle Dome filled at 7.87 grain. Next is the Rifle RTX Premium Heavies at 8.33 grain. And the last of the rifle bunch is the Premium Series Round, 8.33 grain. Right, time for a target change and a quick cylinder refill back up to 200 bars, and then we'll switch to the harder lead pellets, the H&Ns, and a few other brands. Right, starting with H&Ns then, I've got 4 different versions of the H&N Field Target Trophy, and we're starting with the pure H&N branded one. Next is a BSA Gold Stars then. Only got 5 of these pellets left in the tin, so I need to get this one right. Next is the Rangemaster Kaisers. And the final one of the FTT pellets is the Veyron F&T Special. Time for some Barracuda action then, first with the Barracuda 8s. Next pellet up is the Barracuda FT. Next up are Bisley Magnums. Moving on to our penultimate pellet then, we've got the Acupel FT. And last but not least then, for this test, we have the Norma Golden Trophy FT. Well, that's all the pellets tested. Let's have a closer look, shall we? Time to take a closer look at the targets then. But first things first, when I designed and printed out these targets, they were supposed to have 25mm diameter outer circles and a 5mm ball. Well, they got the 5mm ball, but when I've checked these, they're actually 23mm, the outer circle, rather than 25mm. Bear that in mind. Looking first at the JSB Express, definitely a no there, scattered everywhere. The standard JSBs, they look a bit scattered, but they easily go inside the 25 and almost make a 20. So worth not discounting yet. Shorts are strung out, so we'll discount those. The heavies are interesting. The JSB heavies, I expected these to do well, but for some reason we got 2 shots that dropped. These 3 here, easily inside a 15mm. So I'm not going to discount the heavies. I'm going to give them a second chance. The AA Express, similar to the JSB Express, a bit scattered. AA Fields, they're all in 25, and we've got, if we count that as a flyer, we've got 4 shots in 20. So the AA Fields are worth taking forward. Moving down, the FT Exacts, just about 25mm, but nothing special. Rangemaster Sovereign's a lot better. Got another flyer over here on the left. If we discount that, we've got 15mm group, 4 shots there. So the Rangemaster Sovereigns are worth taking forward. Let's move the target down, look at the remaining shots. The QRS Streamline pellets then, in the 8 grain and the 9 grain. We've got this ball here, which is a bit of a flyer. Nice 4-shot group there, which is near enough 15 millimeters, so they're worth taking forward. And then we come to the 9.56s. They just about go in 25, and we've got 4 shots in 20. So I think the 8s are a better bet than the 9s, so we'll go forward with the 8s. And then looking at the rifle pellets, not too bad, but the best of the bunch is these the last group here, the premium rounds, which easily go in a 20 millimeter group, and there's 4 shots there in 15, so they're worth trying again. Let's take a look at the other target. This is where we switch to the H&N pellets then. And looking at first at the field target trophy pellets, could regard that as a flyer. Comparing the other two, they're easily in a 20, 3 shots in 15 millimeter center, so it's worth giving those another go. Gold stars perform very well. Unfortunately, I haven't got any of those left. I'll have to get some more, so they're worth considering as well. No, the Kaisers are out, and the F&T specials are out. Moving down to the Barracudas then, we got 3 shots here and a couple of flyers, easily going to a 25. Those 4 shots into a 20, possibly even a 15. So the Barracuda 8s are worth trying again. Yeah, not so much the FTs, so they'll be on the list to try again. And moving down, let's shift this up and look at the last few shots. And we've got the Bisley Magnums. I would regard that as a flyer. 4 shots there. That's quite a good group actually, almost within a 10 millimeter group. But the best group on both cards are these Acupels. Pretty surprised at that. And that's 4 shots easily in a 15 millimeter group. Very close to a 10 millimeter actually. So at 40 yards, really surprised with those. Normal Golden Trophy, no. So moving forward then, we've got what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 pellets to give another go to. I did take the rifle out on the garden range at 40 yards again the following day when the conditions were very similar, but I thought I'd shoot without the cameras rolling, so I was a little bit more relaxed. And let's have a look at the results of the selection of pellets that I shot then. So on the second shoot then, I took a selection of the better performing pellets from the first test and shot 3 5-shot groups with each of them. So starting up at the top, the H&N FTTs, unfortunately haven't got any gold stars left. I'll have to get some more gold stars and see how they perform. But you can see here a reminder that these are 23 millimeter circles, and so you can see all 3 of those groups are within 25 mil. Here's the barrel rates. Yeah, there was a bit of a flyer there, but the bulk of the group here easily within 15 millimeters. Again there, 15 millimeter center, and we got another flyer there. So not a bad performance really from the, and they go in 20. Not a bad performance from the Barracuda 8s. Much better performance from the Barracuda FTs. You can see there is a 15 millimeter group there, 4 in 15 millimeters there with a flyer, and 4 in 15 millimeters there. So they worked really well. Moving down the target then, let's look at the QYS streamlined. Firstly, the 8.48s. Got a flyer there and possibly there and one there. But if we look 20 millimeter, those shots, 4 shots in 20 millimeter, those shots inside 20 millimeter. So not bad performance from the QYS 8.48. But you'll notice if we move down to the heavier pellets, the QYS Streamline 9.56, discounting this flyer here and possibly this one here, you can see that these pellets group a bit better than the 8s, very close to 15mm groups at 40 yards. And then looking at the Bisley Magnums, which are the heavier of the pellets, don't know what happened here, but there's 4 shots in there that 10mm. Then this is a bit scattergun, but we come back to this again, and another group here. So seems to be that this rifle prefers the heavier pellets. Now, if we move back up to and look at the Barracuda FTs, they're a 9-grain pellet, just over 9 grain, similar to the QYSs. So it seems to be, say, this rifle or this barrel does prefer a heavier pellet than the standard 8.4s. Finally, just a quick look at the second targets. Now, you might remember on the first shoot, the Accupel's FTs performed pretty well. Have done again here. A couple of flyers. We've got this one here, similar flyer there, but you can see we've got 10mm group there, 4 shots, 10mm, 4 shots, 10mm, and in there 4 shots, 15mm. So of all the 8-grain pellets, it does like these Accupel FTs. The rifle premium round, again a flyer there, but we've got 15mm in there. That's close to a 15mm, and 4 shots in 15 there, but these all go in 20. So it likes this particular brand, the premium round pellet, so the rifle brand. Ragemaster Sovereigns, no, wasn't doing it. Moving down then to the Air Arms Field, the 8.4 pellets. Probably the best of the JSB type pellets. Bit of a flyer there. Don't know what happened here, but certainly got a 20mm, well inside a 20mm there. 4 shots inside a 20mm. Yeah, close to a 15. And then again, 4 shots into a 20mm. Not as good as the Accupels. And then finally, the exact heavies. We've got 3 shots there, 2 shots there. That's 15mm group. Then we had a flyer, got 4 shots in there in 15mm. Don't know what happened here, but they're all in 20. So it's quite clear that, yeah, this rifle likes the heavier pellets. So that's what I guess we'll stick with in future. So let's wrap this one up then. What can I say about this rifle? Well, I really do like it. I mean, I've shot this a lot, and that's testament to how nice it is to shoot. You know, you can't go far wrong with this for the money. In effect, you're getting a BSA rifle within a sort of a cheap stock, really. And in saying that, I might say it's a cheap stock, but it's very comfortable and it's easy to shoot. Yeah, you're getting the BSA action, you're getting the BSA cold hammer forged barrel, so you're getting the accuracy that you need. So whether you're doing a bit of pest control, whether you want to do some target shooting or just general plinking, for an all-round fun airgun, this is one that I would recommend. Yeah. So I would really sort of check this one out if you're in the market for an entry-level PCP. As I've mentioned, it's the same setup on this rifle for all of the other Gamo PCPs that you'll see advertised. The Venari, the Fox, the GX40, the GX250. They're all going to have the same block and the same barrel. So whichever one you go for, I don't think you'll be disappointed. And for me, for a while longer, I'm going to be fiddling around with this. Need to do some more testing with it. I'm going to check whether the accuracy improves by removing the barrel band. I'm thinking that it might benefit from a little bit higher power. It is quite low powered out of the box, so I'll need to see if an extra bit of power improves the accuracy even more. So that's for an upcoming video. Before I go, just to mention in case I haven't elsewhere, this is my entry-level scope that I've been using on this rifle. This is the Vector Veyron 6 to 24 by 44 second focal plane scope with an illuminated reticle. If you're looking for a good entry-level scope to go with your entry-level rifle, then take a look at these, because you won't be disappointed with these. There is a separate review of this scope on my channel. If you're interested, take a look at that. But for now, that's all I've got for this one. So hope to see you on the next video on the channel. So till then, bye for now.